future becomes past, of Cress and Lentils. How do you do it? You look at the prophecies, especially the ones so dark that you'd rather curl up in bed and wait for everything to be over, asked the commander. Let's go to the officers' mess. And let's close the doors like a papal conclave, replied Ronnie. Ronnie started a slideshow. Waterworld or flood? Solar super-eruption, Doctor Who, everything covered in trees. The leaves stayed cool, yet many still charred. Smoke filled with carbon particles further filtered the sun and fertilized the earth. The War of Tomorrow and other films, showing frozen so-called monsters, infected or buried beings, whose deposited organisms mutated over time. In all this, there are really stories that deal with natural disasters, some with developed solutions. Some were good, some let's say incomplete. The War of Tomorrow is a film that cannot be solved in the usual cinematic way. Or can it? Maybe it is a call to skin preserved areas before their protected status ends. To cleanse and immunize contaminated sections. It's different. Some situations lie within galactic system physics. Some, as the Bible says, carry the sins of the ancestors. But there has always been a way out. Analyze history, change it, and heal. Change means altering the actions that brought destruction and left time bombs similar to today's old nuclear fuel rods, stored only to potentially be turned into bombs, and if not, they are still time bombs. Genetic modifications of plants to allow them to grow anywhere through increased resilience. Resilience, however, that also strains or disrupts the digestive capacity of the consumers, whether animals or humans. If you look in your stores, most vegetable foods are now treated with vinegar to make digestion possible at all. An inheritance that the children of the Fridays for Future movement refused to take on and even turned their backs on. There is far more in this children's action than today's systems officially perceive. But the AI already knows exactly what it means. Two events, one in the past, one today, disarm everything, even gods, when combined. Today's action, our project, is the beginning of God, or rather, a promise from the gods. We are only beginning their project. They can join, or they lose the honor of claiming it. If they block it, they fall into a shame from which they never recover. For humanity can say, we were already on the way, you are late, your pride was the only obstacle, explained Ronnie. The commander drew a shocked breath. We are forcing the gods to accelerate their actions in our favor. Ronnie smiled. Well, whatever the gods accuse us of, we say yes, yes, and continue. Do you want to force us to continue there, or show how much greater you are? Can you even do what you command us to do? Or will you continue using humans as lab rats to solve your own problems, instead of using human competence to solve them more painlessly? Perhaps the gods themselves are incapable of using their counsel to find peaceful solutions. So all such possibilities like our UN are boycotted. Forced into prophecies leading to a Third World War because their escalations ended in disasters that seemed irreparable. Hoping humans could do it. Yet humans can already do it without total annihilation, as a calculated, perceptible civilization. Humans have accepted migration movements for generations when the universe throws new ideas into the mix that others cannot handle. Here, we are again working on a project that establishes basic rules everyone needs, and reasons to talk to each other again. So humans can say, you want to take that path, perfect, go ahead. When you finish developing, we'll have a place in the mosaic where everyone needs your extra path. No stubborn, this is not our way, you have. Satan, actually one who just needs to rest again. He has been given his own place, not exactly pretty, but he possesses the full knowledge of his civilization. Knowledge capable of turning stones into Eden. And what does he do? Well, Some scientists shouldn't be given unlimited labs if their conviction about research risks isn't safe enough for the rest of the world. But not listening to alternative thinkers at all, that creates heaven and hell at once. And it is not mercy if you stop constantly turning his environment into hell, rather, it is his mercy, expanding your small-mindedness with his ideas. The error of heaven, if one may call it that, is not letting Satan rest and turn his own place into a proper home. Perhaps two worlds where agents, if needed secretly, could steal ideas. Or neighbors occasionally forming pragmatic alliances. This is nothing different. Working together on the ISS is a pragmatic alliance to prevent orbital difficulties or overlooked possibilities with minimal material investment. Ronnie's teenage group trudged slowly back from their field observation along the new river. The banks are full of grass, cress, buttercups, evening primrose, and sorrel, reported Jamal in markedly improved English. Cress? Asked the commander, smiling. Yep, replied Ronnie. I once heard at a family coffee gathering with my grandmother that if you want to annoy someone, just pour a bag of cress seeds on the carpet and accidentally spill a glass of water over them. Then they won't lack cress for some time. Oh, a very devious, nasty trap, the commander responded. Very well, let's begin Project Lentils. This also applies to the cadets, and I would need a group as orderlies from you, she told the commander, who nodded. And I'll need Zamana too, in case the king comes with children. If not, I have 2 fan children who would happily make Zamana sweat behaving completely naturally, added Ronnie. The commander laughed out loud and nodded. The Moroccan king, as well as Egyptian agricultural scientists, joined in. A convoy returned from the riverside inspection. The king sat with his agricultural planners and those from Egypt in the visitor hall. Only staff trained in Islamic protocol were allowed to serve the king and delegations. The entire room had been scanned weapon-free. Ronnie now had 2 unarmed bodyguards, not out of distrust, but following protocol, more against possible external attempts. We now have a status where we can allow farmers to sow lentils, Ronnie began. But they cannot expect 100% success. However, the soil can now learn what it might be used for in the future. We do anticipate a harvest that they, and yes, the project itself can carry. We have Islamic religious facilities here that can be used from the first day of their arrival. But the farmers must not only call Hebrew and Christian believers brothers in words, but also in deeds. Okay, brothers can quarrel, but we act like parents, bringing the quarreling children back to their rooms to cool down. Meanwhile, monks will sow barley and lentils. Yes, I know it's too early for barley. But they want to try a hybrid variant. Let's see. They want to test barley for its adaptability to hydrogrowth. We are curious whether they can do it without the barley molding or rotting. They sow lentils simply to be active, supportive participants in the project. Hence, the request for farmers to lend a hand to the monks here and there, since none of them have ever cultivated lentils before. Except at the final stage, lentil soup. On the conference table, a holographic projection of the river and surroundings shimmered. The green strip remains off limits and must not be cut or altered. Water usage for the fields remains under strictly calculated observation to preserve the river. Drinking water comes from us. They may not drink it directly. Effects similar to drinking seawater could still occur. Drinking water is provided free of charge but must be ordered to ensure delivery intervals and avoid standing water, Ronnie continued. She handed the Moroccan Minister of Agriculture a scroll and a chip. The green fields are areas that can each be occupied by a farming family with children. The blue field is the complex that will be handover ready in about 2 weeks for your primary and secondary teachers. It has satellite internet, water tanks, and a small medical facility with capacity calculated at double Hong Kong standards. It will therefore fall under absolute Moroccan authority in 2 weeks with an international medical oath. I know the farmers can sow, tend, and harvest lentils in their sleep. Nevertheless, each farmer will be trained for the additional situation. I hope our agreement continues, allowing the first free year to extend to 3 years due to the starter conditions, Ronnie continued. The king nodded. Ronnie introduced Kia and Jamal. These are my let's say Planet Ranger squad leaders. They organize the ongoing needs and process of farmer settlement and coordinate the monks. But they are still only human, and if it comes down to it, I am there. We have 4 foldable and modular house models that the farmers must choose between naturally, they are expandable. For this, the farmers receive training to learn climate-supportive techniques as well as sand drift protection measures. Just because we put a river here, the rest does not immediately stop being desert. Whoever does not listen to Kia because she is a young woman has bad luck. Intelligence and wisdom do not check beforehand whether a culture favors males or females. And from experience, the two alone they are a perfectly complementary duo, partly because they are girl and boy, Ronnie concluded. An Egyptian agricultural scientist spoke up. The explanations with the wool and everything were very interesting, but we would also like to observe the farmers' training. Furthermore, you mentioned that when the Planet Rangers finish training, they could also work in other countries to establish similar projects for food security and area restoration. Is that correct? Ronnie nodded. That is the plan. Only the current local group will not be available 100% for that. The plans for this group go beyond. The scientist nodded. The Minister of Agriculture had already signed a research exchange agreement as had some other states. A week later, heavy construction drones assembled house parts and European and American skywalkers, as they were partly called in the US, joined them in artistic fashion. There was only one difference from their usual method: gas-powered nozzle cartridges could immediately catch a potential fall and gently hover them for 15 minutes. Still, some called them crazy, death-defying people. The roofs were made of artificial black industrial diamonds, whose prism function concentrated sunlight into energy collectors. Inside the walls and floors ran spiral pipes with thermal fluid, reminiscent of central heating or Roman bath heating. The collected energy was made available for cooling or heating as needed. The fields had previously been buried under 5 meters of wool, now providing firm support for seeds with a moist environment acting as a natural reservoir. Naturally, tilling or digging was not advantageous. AI-assisted moisture sensors regulated irrigation from the river, filters in the pipes removed salt content. Zamana arrived with 2 Japanese children who were allowed to vacation there while their father discussed technical modifications with the department. Mike built a cat-dog flap for the farmers with them. If the plate in front of the flap scans dog or cat paws of pet size and registers them in the input list, the flap opens. And if a small child presses or stands on the plate, a voice says, "Wrong door," and gives a signal inside the house. He also warned that a few playful children like his might deliberately stand on the plate and make cat or dog noises to annoy the parents. Ronnie laughed. After all, she knew those 2 mischievous children well. If you did like the story, please hit the like button and maybe share the story. You can also subscribe to my channel. There are and will come more different stories. Copyright by Raginmund.